Now let's move over to our second character. And let's see how we progress on this one. What kind of hairstyle do you want for this one? 'Cause like I was saying earlier, I have no idea what I'm going to paint. I dive into this deep end.
You have one or two choices, either shortish hair or wind-blowing hair.
Okay.
Which do you feel up to?
Oof. I don't have a lot of experience painting either one, so that's going to be interesting. Let's go with wind-blowing hair. I think more people would be interested.
Okay, makes sense.
Oftentimes you want to have some action going on the page, and having the hair blowing is a good way of quickly filling that in. Now, preference on color.
Color. I knew you were going to turn to me. Blonde or brown?
Let's go with brown.
Okay.
We can always change it later, brighten it up, and turn it into blonde. But we can start with a brown. Oops. Let's go with a harder brush because we are starting at the beginning. We are going to be silhouetting this in. Let's see, what's that saturation? A little bit too much. What direction do you think? Left or right? Blowing. I'm thinking to the right.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
So we're just going to fill this in, add some volume up here to the top like we always do, and just blocking it in. No worries about it not looking great or any kind of perfection we're kind of going for. Just getting a shape in there so we can start painting. Oops. Of course, feel free to undo stuff if you don't like it. And now, let's go down and use that same trick we did earlier. We're going to select the face layer. I know you can't see it right now, but I've selected the face. And we're going to invert that selection. Now we have everything except for the face selected. Make sure you switch back off of the layer, because it will, by selecting the layer, you will actually be on that layer. Go back up to the hair layer. And we're going to start painting in that hair down here. And a lot of this is about finding a flow for the hair. For me, that comes down to muscle memory. But I would recommend, if you're having trouble finding that flow, to take some time and practice on some worksheets. There are a few different approaches you can take to be able to back away from your image and get a feel for what needs work and what doesn't. Flipping the canvas is one of them. Just zooming out really far, that's a great one. For me, I like to zoom out to full canvas size and then drop down my control center, and that will blur everything for you. The point of any of these exercises is to be able to quickly and easily tell if you like the basic shapes and color scheme of your painting. It also helps to spot any errors or fixes you might need to make. I noticed that the silhouette needed more volume right there. Let's go with a simple design to the hair blowing. So I think this is about it. Just a little bit of wind, that's good. Make sure that it goes all the way to the edge of the head. We're going to go back in here. We're going to drag that in just a bit on the hairline. Maybe a little hair strand there.
How'd you get it across your face? Did you take it off?
I disabled the selection.
Oh, okay.
Just a quick tap to the button up there. By the way, quick thing, if you disable your selection, if you want to bring back up your last used selection, hold down on the selection.
Ah, I didn't know that.
And then it will bring back up whatever the selection was you had last. That way you can disable it, do something across the face you wanted to do, and then bring back your selection and go back, oops, oh, you gotta go back to your paintbrush. And then you can resume with your selection without having to go and select it again. Just hold it down, takes about a second. It'll reload the previous.
Oh, that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
And I know Procreate, but that was a new one.
Yeah, you just reloading the selection.
I like the way Procreate does the layers, where you can hold down the layer and it'll be the only one.
Yeah.
And then if you tap it again, it comes back to the whole thing. It works better than Photoshop with their layer much better.
Yeah.
Also, I don't like that curl.
Oh, okay. Do you not like the way it's curling, or do you not like it that it's a kind of a bulky strand?
I don't like the way it's curling. How about having it just kind of more flat, more like the wind caught it at the end?
Okay.
Yeah, that would even be better than the flip curl. Yeah, more hectic is great.
Well, we don't want it to look too hectic because if you do, it starts almost looking wet.
Or greasy. Yeah.
You want to keep a lot of these strands kind of bulky and not too strandy, funny enough. So I'm actually going to bulk up some of them here. And then I can come back in with an eraser and thin out the ends. I am always painting with the eraser as much as I paint with the paintbrush. Just got to think in reverse.
Yeah, I like that more wild look.
Okay.
Disheveled look.
So you like it now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Maybe a little strand right here. Don't be afraid to throw a strand in the opposite direction of the wind. It helps. It breaks up what would otherwise be a straight line on the other end of the hair. So you're going to have stray hairs.
Right. Because it kind of balances with all the hectic stuff going on their side.
Now we're going to go ahead and duplicate that so we have a backup of the base one, and we're going to go alpha lock. And now, with the same color, let's go ahead and go to the glow brush. So now we're going to quickly add in some color and highlights. A little too much color. Let's undo that and desaturate my brush more.
Yeah, brown, not red.
Something like that. A little bit down there, a little bit there. Now, we're going to swap over to the multiply brush. Start adding in a little bit of that contrast that we know should be there. Might be a little too dark there, but we can fix that later. I'm going to darken it up there on that edge so we get more contrast. And I think that about does it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, we can already get like a nice feel for the hair at that stage. So we're going to make a new layer and clipping mask this to that other layer.
Got a question.
Uh-huh. What's
okay,
up?
the light's coming in from this left side.
Yeah, left front.
Okay, when you were brushing over, you kind of darkened right here. You will go back in and lighten that those strands.
Yes.
Okay.
The darkness just kind of acts as a base coat. And I'll come back in with some lighter colors, actually right now.
That area would hit real light, I would think.
Yeah, it would definitely catch some of the light, but we want our highest highlight to match this scalp, which would be right there. In fact, at this stage, why don't this time we go ahead and use that multiply layer that's clipping mask to both faces. Rather than making a new layer because we're limited on the number of layers for this.
Now that means to anybody who's not doing the huge canvas that you're doing and they're doing one face at a time, well, even if they were doing two faces in a smaller canvas, they would have more layers. They wouldn't have to do that. They could make a new layer.
And change it to multiply, yes. This is just for my shortcut so that I don't have to make a new layer that's just going to be another multiply layer that matches the one over there. It's serving the same function just on the other face. Might as well use it since both faces are on the same layer.
Right.
In fact, I'll probably go ahead and do that for all of these as I progress down the list. So multiply, I'm on the right brush. Let's grab a kind of a light skin tone, a little too light.
Now you're adding shadows to fit to the face.
Yeah. I'm going to be very loose about this because the hair has not even been refined yet. But we want some shadows in there, something to really make the face pop a little more. I'm going to bring the smudge tool and smudge into the shadows. Get an eraser and cut out the shadows we don't like, that sort of thing. And just go ahead and play with it, see what you like. Actually, on this one, I'm going to go ahead and erase out some of those multiplies that's on that far eye so the eye still has some glow to it. Just a little bit. We've now added some shadows to this face, and I'll probably add more later. This is just some quick shadows so that the face doesn't look like it's completely separate from the hair.
Yeah, makes sense.
We're going to go back to the layer that I made earlier that's clipping masked to the hair. I'm going to go ahead and grab the lighter color. We're going to start with that. And we're just going to be adding in some texture. Grab the darker color and try to grab the darker color.
Sorry.
It's okay. So we're just grabbing the darker colors, the lighter colors, and just painting back and forth until we like the texture. You don't have to put too much thought into these early steps. Just a base texture, something we'll be manipulating further as we advance. And I kind of like that. That's a nice base texture. Let's zoom in so we can see it more accurately. Definitely.
That was using one of your texture brushes?
Yeah, it's just using my basic textured round brush.
Okay.
Now let's go ahead, and I've now merged the two layers together, and I've disabled alpha lock on that layer. So we're going to go in with an eraser now. I am going to, oops, that was too much. Add in a little bit of a part line.
Huh.
Just a smidge. In fact, that might have still been too much. Let's go in here with liquify. I haven't liquefied it yet. And drag it in.
Not too much.
Yeah, just a smidge. Like that, I think was enough. Think you need a little more?
Hey, I grew up in the 80s. I'm used to the full volume hair.
Yeah. Bring it in there. Drag it back down. Something like that. Yeah. I think that was enough. And you can always just toggle back and forth between your two versions and get a good look. And I like that change, so I'm going to keep it. Next, let's go ahead and dive into adding the next level of shine, I guess, and start out a little bit of detailing. New layer. I don't think I'm going to clipping mask this one. Just go in there and start adding some darker colors and some lighter colors. I'm going to add in a little dark. Bring in that nice shine.
Still pretty good sized brush.
Yeah, still pretty decent. Won't really start using like fine-tuned brushes until decently later. We're just going to feather it out.
So is this your texture brush still? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is still the texture brush. We're just getting a good feel for where the shine should be. Just a little bit of shine. Probably handled that a little wrong, but it's okay. We can always undo. Drag some strands across the ear, a couple strands bringing in. Add a little shine up here. It's catching a little bit more of the highlight up there. And because I don't really care for that hard edge, I'm going to soften that up. Now we're going to go ahead and start filling in the rest of that part line just a bit. Okay, that's starting to look a little bit better. A lot of this is just experimentation. A lot of it comes down to more technique than a set of rules that I follow on a regular basis. Almost forgot. Let's go ahead and add in a atmospheric shine on this one. This is actually a hairstyle we can use an atmospheric shine on, but first, I don't really care for this little bump up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. Yeah, something like that. And now, go back to that layer. Let's add in an atmospheric shine to this hair. So we're going to take just a gray color. I just sampled that just so I could get in the ballpark. And I'm going to do it a little bit on the blue side. And now we got an atmospheric color.
Because we're supposed to be reflecting...
just the sky behind her, just a bit. And now I've probably overdid that, so come in with a smudge brush and an eraser. Now, I've noticed that the layer I've been working on is one I can't really clipping mask to the main silhouette. So instead, I'm going to make a new layer and clipping mask that one to the silhouette. That way, I can paint right up to the edge. Get a nice atmospheric shine. Gonna be soft over here, and let's go ahead and paint it out with an eraser. Oops, the hair reverses direction here. Just stay with the flow of the hair. It's very important to keep going with whatever direction the hair wants to flow. You can see just a little bit of atmospheric glow can help.
Wow. Yeah. So if the sky was blue behind her, the color would be bluish.
Exactly. Whatever the reflection is from behind her, try to capture that essence and put it into the hair. There are occasions when you want to change that up a bit, but not often. Usually you want to go with something that's in your background and take that.
Right.
Like if there's a light behind her, if it's an orange light,
right.
Take that orange light, put it into the hair.
Right, and then you can always adjust it if you need to lighten it.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and actually duplicate that so I have a backup of it, and I'm going to go ahead and merge these three together. And I think that's looking pretty decent. Let's go ahead and add in, oops, I need to make a new layer, and let's clipping mask this one. Why not? And add a little bit of shine up on the part line, up where the hair would catch the light up there.
You have a crooked part?
Yeah. It's blowing in the wind. It's not going to be an even part, so I'm not really being specific about it yet. I'm going to come in and just kind of mess it up a whole bunch in all sorts of different directions. I'm going to get some different colors, well, different shades of the same color, and paint it in.
I liked it when the front bangs were lighter.
Lighter? Okay.
Before you came in and darkened them.
Okay, well then let's emphasize that more. I was thinking the same thing. So let's emphasize that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Wow.
Maybe some highlights over here on this edge.
I need to go practice just making the pressure on single strokes of hair.
It's definitely a big part of it. I mean,
because then that
I've
gives
had a lot
you
of
more
practice at pressure.
That gives you more confidence if you can make one single little strand. Gives you more confidence when you're doing the whole thing. You definitely have to have that single stroke, that pressure thing down.
Well, I'm constantly, if you noticed, I'm constantly undoing things because I'm constantly trying things out. There's always something else that I can try out and then throw out if I didn't like it. Okay, I'm liking that, but we need to, there's a couple steps here. I don't like the shape we have right now. So I am going to zoom out a bit and liquefy it up just a bit. And not there, right over here on the front. Right up on the back, bring it in a little, something like that. So now we can go ahead and undo. That's what it was, that's what it did.
Okay.
Just depends on whether you want a more angular hairstyle or a more rounded hairstyle. Take your pick. I think I'll go with a little bit more rounded. Now, the overall tone of the hair everywhere is looking a little bit even. We're using roughly the same colors and everything, as well as the same tonage in most of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing we did on the other one. Let's make a new layer, change it to add or color dodge. Color dodge, we'll give it a try. We can change it to add later if we change our mind. Let's change that to a slightly more yellow.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's going to get a lot brighter here in a second.
It said brown hair, not redhead.
Yes, well, watch this. Desaturate it some, darken it up, something like that. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's still not really looking like brown hair, but you gotta remember, this is just the highlights. I'm going to erase out what I don't like. So let's actually mask this. What, you didn't like that?
I wouldn't make this side dark at all, since there's light coming in on her face so much. I would even give those strands of hair that are right on her cheek.
We need to add some dark on that side. There needs to be some dark, so like that. And now we can come back in on those strands and paint them in later. But it serves to show that you can brighten it up. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and merge that in, and we're going to go ahead and make a new layer. Let's leave this one off of clipping mask. And let's go ahead and start adding those strands in that you're talking about, the ones that are a little bit more into the face, and brighten them up some, so make them pop.
Yeah.
In fact, for that, I think I'm going to switch brushes. Let's go down and swap over to thick strand brush.
The one you used with the blue.
Yeah. I might switch back over to the thin strand brush as I progress, just because this thick strand brush is not going to be able to handle this all effectively. It's meant for stray strands that you really want to pop, and that's it. And remember, you want a few strands going the opposite direction too, just a couple, and not too emphasized either. Little highlight line there. Honestly, that's popping a little too much. I don't really care for that. I'm gonna erase out that strand some. And go in there with this brush. Brighten it up a little and saturate it some. You really want darker colors over the face. That way it contrasts. You don't want the bright colors right over the face. Like right there, there's not a lot of contrast there. What I would probably do is darken the skin in that little crevice or darken up the hair in that little area. One of the two. Just play with it because the contrast is not working.
Well, as we know, when the wind's blowing, long hair constantly gets in our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. You just gotta play with it until something starts looking a little better. In fact, let's bring up one of my references here. You can bring up photos anytime you like and bring up a photo. Let's go up to one of my drawings that I've already done. There we go, there's actually one right there. Did this one a few weeks ago. So you can really get in there with that type of highlights and stuff and that type of shading. Honestly, let's change this color a little bit. Let's go ahead and merge it in. New layer, clipping mask, down to color at the very bottom almost. And let's just grab a color, throw it on there. Not really working right now, but that's fine. We'll go into hue and sat, tweak the color a little bit, and now we'll use an eraser to paint the original color back in. Let's also use the smudge tool to blend those edges better. I feel like the new color works, although we do need to erase it over here where the reflection is on the right side, because that does need to be a different color. Let's darken up the background. Sometimes that can help. Offset it, blue it. Nah, too blue. Just want a smidge of blue, something like that. So let's go ahead and take that hair layer and merge it, okay? New layer, let's clipping mask this one. And let's go with color dodge. Let's go with add. Take the lighter color. Huh, I wonder how this would look. Not bad. That's what I mean by experimenting. Sometimes you stumble into something that's like, oh wow, that works.
Oh wow, yeah.
Let's go ahead and try that. Now let's get the smudge tool and smudge out those edges that don't quite look right. Maybe smudge it on the bottom side a little bit, just a little. There. Now we can go in there and add a little up there, maybe some down here, and even some like across the ear, maybe. And now you can really start to get a nice shine to it. Maybe we want a little bit brighter, like over here. There, that's looking nice. A little bit of rim lighting up here. Smudge it out. There. It's looking decent.
That clipped to the hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is clipped.
Okay, so when you put the highlight on that right side then, since it's clipped, there's no problem. You just swipe some light on there, some rim lighting, and then you came back in
and smudged
just on the inside where the dark hair is and made it smudgy a little bit, so it wasn't a line.
So now we went from that to that. In fact, I'm going to try something here. I have no idea if this is going to work. Try adding some highlights over here on that side of the hair. Smudge them out a bit. Let's come in here and make it a little less intense. Something like that. So now, we got that. From that to that.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the head shadow is starting to show, which is what we want. From here, we can actually go in there and start detailing. Let's go ahead and new layer. We're not going to clipping mask this one. I'm actually going to go up here and change it back to my textured brush and go really small. We're going to grab the highlight color, just bring out a couple little strands, just a few spots, kind of like put a little bit on the edge. Maybe grab a darker color and bring it right up to the edge. It's getting too much of a straight line, I think.
Right.
Let's change that.
It's funny, I would have went just the opposite. I would have brought the light down into
Light
the
down?
dark.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. It's all playing with it, so let's try it. See how it works.
You're gonna bring light strands in that area anyway.
Maybe.
Oh, that looks nice.
Now grab that medium color up there, kind of try to blend it down. Grab the highlight color, give some edge highlighting. Grab the darker color and maybe bring it out just a bit. We're just kind of reshaping the overall feel. Darkening up a little bit just for some sake of some contrast. Let's add in some strands, some definition to the clumps. Maybe some highlights down here for some like underglow. And some strands down there. Bring in some nice highlight pop right to some of them. You can make this look better. Let's go with the richer color over there and bring it in over here. Sharpen up that edge. Add in some strandiness down to the bottom here. Go in here, grab that color. There. Something like that. And because we did it on a completely different layer, we can toggle it back and forth and see. Yeah, much better. Now we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit of shine right there. Actually, too much shine. Let's go with a medium color. And this is all just detailing at this point. Just trying to get a good feel for the look. Ooh, that actually looked nice. Didn't expect to. I almost undid that just out of reflex because I didn't expect it to look good. I think somebody wants into the room. You let her in?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I got a question. Should there be any grayish highlight on the rim on the left side?
You mean atmospheric reflection? Hi, Bootsy. Come on. Bootsy. Come on. Up you come. Good girl. You mean like atmospheric reflection over on this side?
Yeah, why isn't the bluish background
reflecting over here?
Right.
Technically, it probably would. But since we're dealing with a primary light, this is acting as the secondary light source for now on the hair.
Okay.
The primary light source really overpowers the secondary light source. When the two are overlapping, the primary takes dominance. But let's give it a try. I don't think this will have the right look, but give it a try.
No, not much. Just maybe a tiny bit on the outside edge is what I was thinking.
Okay. Something like that? Or maybe down here, like that. Like I said, I'm not sure. I don't really care for that, I don't think. But maybe. Let's not throw it out right away. Play with the idea a little bit more, refine it. Yeah, that's okay. And up here, maybe cut it down. Yeah, it's a small change, but it's not bad. So let's go ahead and merge those two together and go back to detailing. I think there should be more strands here. Hi, Boots. Boots. You mind moving, girl?
She has a new facial feature.
Okay. This. There. Sorry, girl. You can't have your tail over the iPad. Okay. Where were we? I'm still not really sure about this. There's something about it I'm not really caring for. It's a little bit too out of focus or something. Okay, that's looking a little better, I think. Yeah, that's okay. And I very well might change that color as I progress, because I'm not really sure how I feel about the yellow, then the peach, then the brown. So I might change that using a color adjustment later. Like here, let me show you another trick. Make a new layer above everything, change it to color. Make your color just a gray. And just drag your desaturated color over everything.
Wow.
And it will make everything black and white. So now you can get a good idea for your contrast levels without having to worry about what the color is. And you can see what was the issue. And looking at that, that looks a lot better to me. If the only issue, the color's not quite right, I can fix that.
Wow.
But for now, I think I'm gonna put that to the side and actually...
Put a little more highlight on the bang?
No, I think I wanna work over here for a bit. Actually, highlight on the bang, maybe a little bit right there. Maybe just a smidge right up there at the top.
Okay. That looks better though because it's not a stark.
Shiny, not shiny.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start refining the edges on the other side. So we're going to go down to the strand brush again, thick strand brush that is, and grab a color.
Not clipped.
Not clipped. That way we can paint outside of the area. In fact, I might go ahead and merge all of these together and duplicate it and make a extra. That way I can erase out as well and paint back in. Yeah, this brush is, I might need to do the thin one. Plus I'm having an issue with the angle. Let's go ahead and rotate the canvas. Gets a little confusing on camera for the audience, but you guys can understand. It's a good idea to rotate your canvas when you need to get a good arc to the hair. Yeah, let's switch brushes so I can get a little bit more pressure control. The other one, great for extra strands, not great for pressure control. And now you can see it's starting to look more like hair over here. There you go.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe just a couple strands coming down from the upper hair, more of them catching this light. See, now comparing it back to what it was, distinctive change over here.
Wow. Yeah, the little strands of hair.
Yeah. And now I'm going to come in and do probably the same thing to these strands here, maybe a little bit down here. So I'm going to make a new layer for this one. Go in there with a darker color, too small.
That's your texture brush or your strandy brush?
Strandy brush.
Okay, that's what I thought. What's the brush actually called?
Give me a second. JR Fur Brush 003 Prime.
Okay.
Any of my brushes that have the word prime in parentheses are ones that I particularly like, and I use them on somewhat of a regular basis. While it says fur brush, really my fur and hair brushes are interchangeable between the two mediums. Yeah, that one works. Now come in there with, let's go with a new layer and let's go hyper highlights. So like that. Not hyper enough, obviously. Let's go ahead and make it this brush so it's a little bit thicker. First, just some stray strands and some edge lighting. Because those stray strands, the only way you actually see them is when they catch the light. So we're only going to paint the ones that look like they're catching the light. And now up here, why don't we go ahead and, ooh, that actually kind of looked nice. Grab that color now. Maybe an eraser and fade it out just a bit towards the edge. Yeah, something like that. You can just fade out the whole thing just a bit. And there's just a random strand. Go in there with a little darker color and maybe, nah. Kind of interesting, but let's just keep it like that. You can see now with all the little strands over there that it's a small detail, but it helps. You can come over and do the same thing to the other side, although you probably shouldn't use the same highlight color you did on this side. Probably sample the highest, brightest color you can see over on this side, and then use that as your color for a few of the strands. And not too many, just a few here and there. And there you go.
Now give her green eyes.
Green eyes, okay. Let's go ahead and take the color layer that's attached to the skin, and let's go in there with textured round brush. Okay, so you want them green. Let's see, let's do a yellowish green, maybe match the hair a bit. And because we're using a color adjustment, they change. And of course, we can go into hue and saturation and tweak that color to exactly what we want. Up their saturation, down the saturation, find something you like. Sometimes you can find something completely unexpected.
And the green with the blondish brown hair is beautiful.
Yeah, and that's looking good. Let's go ahead in here and on the overlay layer, let's go ahead and add in a little bit more color into her skin. Erase it out in the shadows. Just a little bump. Could actually come in here on the multiply layer. Let me make a new one. Clipping mask, multiply, so I'm not getting in the way of the old one. Which is probably, oh wow, that color actually isn't half bad. Switch brushes to something a little bit more hard. Drag in some more shadows. Now that we've painted in the hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say the neck underneath there, yeah.
And the neck over here. Now that's obviously too intense, so we're going to get the smudge tool, blend it in, and then we'll use the eraser as needed. That must be the other multiply layer. Yeah, it's the other multiply layer that's getting in the way there.
And your smudge brush is your round brush just on smudge?
No, my smudge brush is an ultra soft brush.
Okay.
Now this eye has gotten too dark. So we're gonna brighten it back up by erasing out some of those, some of that multiply. And now I'll probably tone down its intensity, just some. Maybe you can actually go in there and fade it in from this side as well. Okay, and now that to that. Adding in some more intensity. In fact, these eyes don't look like they're quite matching the hair. Let's go ahead and select the layers that are attached to this face. That one too. I think that's all the ones I used on this hair. And let's go liquefy. You can liquefy multiple layers at once. Very useful. Let's go ahead and just change that eye just a bit. It's bothering me. Maybe change that jawline. And if I change the chin, I have to liquefy the hair as well. So let me go up and grab the hair and liquefy the hair as well. So I can change this edge. I can really play with the shape of the face. There. I think that matches this hair a little bit more. Maybe her nose should be up just a bit. There. What do you think?
That looks good.
Okay.
Do you think that this line right here is a little dark, almost makes her eye, the brownness of her eye?
Okay. I can see that. I can see that.
Maybe just more of a blend rather than a stark line?
Yeah, sure. Clipping mask. Just made a new layer on top of it, all the skin layers. I'm gonna go in there and just
Not that much.
Yeah, well, I'm not done yet. Have to get paint there so I can smudge it. Something like that?
You took away too much of the...
Of the shadow?
Of the shadow.
Okay. Like that? Because now it's all back.
Right, no. It was the very line to soften it. If you take away too much of it, then the
Yeah, I get you. Let's go ahead and grab that color.
Maybe increase the brown further out so that the shadow of the nose has some brown a little bit lighter coming just a little bit into the nose.
Okay.
Yeah, right. But not so stark as it was before.
No, I don't like that.
Okay.
Something's wrong with that. Okay, I think that's good enough. I can go in there and tweak this all day long if I wanted to. Okay, now, while I was in there, I noticed the hair, the base hair, doesn't look right. Let's go ahead and get an eraser and get rid of that. And get rid of the one over there. Okay, I think that looks decent. Let's go ahead and merge my hair layers together. And we're gonna come in and do some multiplying, just a little bit in a few little locations. For this one, I think I am going to use my smooth round brush. Why isn't this multiplying more? There we go. Whoa, just suddenly started working. And now come in with the smudge tool and blend some of it away. Come in with an eraser, get rid of it over here because we don't want it compromising the highlights over there. Yeah, and now come back in and erase it out a little bit right there. Just a little bit of extra contrast where it was missing some. And I think we're good. I'm really liking that. What do you think? Missing something?
No, it looks good.
Okay. I could actually, if I wanted to, go into the skin layer. I have an add one already attached. Let's go ahead and grab a light color, lighten it up, smudge it out, really get a hyper highlight there right on her shoulder. We could always like go in there in the eye and like brighten up some highlights and stuff, but not a lot of that's necessary. Not for this painting, at least. In fact, it's a little bit too much. There. Maybe add a hot spot to her nose. I always like doing that. It adds a nice little pop to the image that can be missed. Soften it up on the edges.
You know, when a photographer
blend it in.
You know, when a photographer gets a hot spot, they go and do in post. They go get rid of the hot spot.
Yeah. There. I think that looks good. What do you think? Done?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's going to be it for this set of two faces.
You will post the brushes too.
Yes, I do plan on posting the brushes. At the very least, I'll be posting the brushes that I used in this tutorial. My hair set.
I'm shaking my head up and down. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. Although the project's definitely running a bit longer than I first expected. Yeah, we've been here for what, 3 hours now or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely running a bit long. I'll see what I can do about editing that down in post. Probably cut down on a few hours. But I mean, you had a good time, didn't you? You enjoyed the project?
Yes.
Feel like you learned much?
Yes, very informative.
Okay.
Yes, I need to go practice.
Okay. Well, get to it. Well, what would you say was your favorite part of the process? It's fine. It take a few minutes. Like I've edited, at this point in post, I've edited like a few hours of video. I can edit a few more minutes. They won't know a thing. They'll never know.
Watching you wield your magic.
Interesting way of putting it. Okay, well, my favorite part would probably be the final touches. Those last few steps that come into play just before the image is really finished. It just, the way the whole image comes together is really nice.
Plus, you know you're on the downhill. You're on the last leg of
everything's wrapping up and I'm kind of like, oh, it's almost over. It's been a day or so. Yeah, there's some of that, but really like those last few adjustments that just bring everything together and make everything feel right in the painting. That's just a really good feeling. One more thing. Since we do seem to be calling these characters finished, any ideas for what we should name them?
Leave that to your audience.
Oh, yes. Okay. Let me ask the question again. Comment down below what you all think their name should be. I'll choose a couple of favorites and post them over on Instagram. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. I'm glad you've enjoyed this tutorial of sorts today. I hope you really all did too. Honestly, feels more of a kind of a walkthrough or a let's paint. Actually, like let's paint instead of let's play. I kind of like that, I think. While you're down in the comments, go ahead and leave me a comment as well. Do you think I should call this type of episode a let's paint? Either way, thanks for joining us on this process video of sorts, and I hope to see you all next time. Going to wave bye to the audience? Catch you all guys next time. Had fun on that?
Boy, Dakina is, I'm surprised you don't have comments. Is that a fake lizard?
She never moves, does she? No, she's not fake. She's quite real.